From there, create new partitions on the phone's already dying storage, and then flash a new operating system or ROM, or however you want to call it, and then, well, it did work. So you can't just flash a custom recovery and boot to it, because the phone won't understand that it's there, and it will just keep crashing by trying to boot the OS that go into the custom recovery. It took me a while to figure it out, and apparently it's a really common issue. Either way, after hours of painstaking work, where I just wanted to throw the phone at a brick wall, it was now booting. So here we have it, the 95p phone up and running with a more modern Android 4.2, which is a custom version of the Cyanogen mod. There are plenty of other ROMs out there which are worth a shot, but at the end of the day, this is the one I ended up finding that works best. I did try a few others, but I don't have the camera out, as it's a must for even attempting to use the camera. But we got a few decently nice shots off on it, but it's far from a point of the shoot that can actually do anything. If it's moving, it's going to be a blurry image, so stick to rocks and scenery if you want to do anything like that camera-wise. App support. Well, I've already seen you using a few different apps, but I didn't run into all too many issues other than the Play Store being so dreadfully slow. It didn't even pick up on the fact that I bought some apps with my account and was trying to get me to pay for them again. Something that took a few restarts to fix. Other than that, though, it downloads most apps with no issues, but some apps that are relatively large will just off themselves once they start to install. So the Oddworld games, they didn't work. Web browsing, you really do need to find a better browser, as I opted for Firefox, as the others tended to slow me down quite a lot. Oh, and there were the words, browsing the web. It can actually do it, especially on the go, and I know that sounds relatively surprising, but it is very slow, it's lethargic, big sites will clog up the RAM and bring the phone to a crawl. In fact, you can hardly use the menus or actual Android at that point, and the small screen is definitely a challenge by today's standards with that very low resolution and very poor viewing angles. In fact, that's why it's so hard for me to film this. Still, for most of your basic needs, provided you've got access to a Wi-Fi signal or 3G, as it does actually support 3G, you can get away with a little bit of web browsing. The rest of the basics, from alarm functions to even FM radio, all seem to do relatively fine. They're not very expensive to do. I didn't have any other issues with it. But there's that age-old question that people are going to be asking if I don't test it. Can it actually run a few games? Because you guys love it when I try and run games on things that really, really shouldn't be. I decided to start it off at the shallow end, something you very rarely hear from me when I'm testing things with Hill Climb Racing, which is just a standard mobile game, and even then it did have a few glitches here or there. But ultimately it was a really solid experience on the go, and the worst area was loading times, which is fair enough considering the lacking RAM and failing storage. Still, though, as long as you don't mind a few glitches, it ran alright, and I didn't notice any major problems. Then we have the likes of PS1 emulation. And even with really intensive titles like Metal Gear Solid in a low